A woman stopped sleeping well. The children woke up crying at the same time every night. Her once peaceful husband began to yell over petty things. The home, without apparent reason, it became dense, as if something invisible would walk among them. Didn't know what it was, until the priest, while blessing the house, stopped suddenly. His gaze was fixed in an object on the table, a rosary, dark, heavily beaded and deep red. "Do not pray with this," he muttered. "Get rid of it." What seemed like a tool of faith was a trap in disguise. This story, documented among so many others, is not an isolated case. For years, Padre Pio warned about a reality that many prefer to ignore. There are rosaries that should not be in your hand, not because of its shape, nor because of its beauty, but for what they carry. According to the Capuchin saint, some rosaries, especially black, deep red, or multicolored with strange symbols, have been used in occult, charged rituals with intentions contrary to the gospel, and made by hands that do not seek God. Not about fear, it's about discernment. Padre Pio did not speak to scare. He spoke to protect. His gift, it allowed the detection of presences, energies, vibrations spiritual, and when it came to contaminated religious objects, there the advice was clear. Don't save them, don't pray, bless them, or destroy them. Today, many they buy rosaries as if they were amulets or accessories, but the rosary is not an ornament. It is a spiritual weapon, and when that weapon is altered, may be turned against you. In this video, you will discover the forgotten warnings of Padre Pio, the 3 types of rosaries that he considered dangerous, the hidden signs of spiritual interference, and how to protect your home and soul. It is no coincidence that this topic has come to you. There's something you need to see, something that could be right in front of your eyes. And it all begins with a simple question. What color is your rosary? For centuries, the rosary has been the most powerful symbol of Marian devotion. Each bead, a supplication, each mystery, a spiritual battle. But what few you know is that this same object can be corrupted. Padre Pio spoke about this with concern. Not all rosaries, he said, are at the service of God. Some have been manipulated, spiritually vaccinated with dark intentions, not because of their appearance, but by its origin. Rosaries that passed through profane hands, that were part of rituals, in those who invoked entities that did not come of the sky. Rosaries that, instead of blessing, opened doors. At first glance, no one noticed it. Many of these rosaries dangerous are beautiful, bright, exotic. For sale in markets, esoteric shops, even online, without no discernment whatsoever. Some, they have symbols camouflaged among the accounts. Others are made of materials that do not mix with the prayer, but with vibrations contrary to it. The problem is that these objects, when they enter the home, become in pockets of spiritual interference. They don't scream, they don't move, but the effect is slow and cumulative. Constant restlessness, heavy dreams, fighting, meaningless, lack of concentration when praying. And when the soul is tired, when the faith weakens, the enemy acts. That's why this video isn't just a warning. It's a spiritual defense guide. Let's unravel every symbol, every color, every sign. Because if there is something that Padre Pio wanted us to understand, and that is that evil does not always disguise itself as darkness. Sometimes it is also carry a crucifix. It was not a man common. Those who approached him felt something inexplicable. Some they broke in crying without knowing why. Others, they confessed sins that they never had, saying out loud. Padre Pio did not need listen. Him simply knew. Had he gift of the bilocation, received bleeding stigmata, and above all could see invisible realities, spirits, hidden intentions, contaminated objects, everything perceived with a clarity that challenged human logic. Many, they came to him seeking spiritual comfort. Some, they carried with them rosaries, medals, scapulars, objects that they believed to be holy. But not all of them passed the proof. On more than one occasion, Padre Pio refused some rosaries. I took them in his hands. He closed the eyes for a moment, and then, with a firm voice, he said, "This is not from God." He advised, "Destroy them, or at least take them to be blessed immediately." A witness reported that when offering him a rosary of black beads purchased in an antiques market, the saint stepped back with a gesture of rejection. "As it has been used to summon who you shouldn't name," he whispered. The object was burned a day following. Exaggeration, fanaticism, not for those who lived the fruits of his advice, people who, after get rid of those objects, they saw his home to regain peace, children who were sleeping without nightmares, environments that felt lighter, more full of light. Padre Pio understood that the subject can be a vehicle of blessing or of contamination, and he knew that the enemy rarely acts in obvious ways. It infiltrates where you least expect it, even between your fingers while you pray. That's why he insisted so much on discernment. Pray with faith, but also with wisdom, he said. It is not enough to have a rosary. It is necessary to know with that spirit was created, because when a sacred object is touched by the darkness, may become in a channel of torment, disguised as devotion. Black, the color of mourning, of recollection, of deep silence, in the Catholic tradition, represents the penance, the humility before him, divine mystery. Many faithful it. They choose out of sincere devotion, but not everything is black in a rosary is harmless. Padre Pio was clear. Some black rosaries are not made to pray. They are designed for it contrary. The disturbing thing is not the color in yes, but the burden that some of these objects carry, especially those acquired in second-hand places, esoteric shops or fairs without consecration. Many have been previously used in invocation rituals, where the prayer becomes manipulation and the sacred is perverted. Opaque, heavy, black beads, sometimes accompanied by strange symbols in a crucifix. At first glance they seem sober, elegant, but they carry a story you don't see. And when you pray with one of them, something gets in the way. The mind wanders, the soul becomes restless, the environment becomes charged. A case recorded in Italy narrates the story of a young seminarian who received a black rosary as a gift. He began to suffer nightmares, nausea when praying, and a rejection inexplicable to the Blessed Sacrament. Padre Pio, upon touching the object, he threw it into the fire and said, "This has no place in a house of God." From then on, the young recovery peace. This mean that all black rosaries are dangerous? No, but it does mean that you should be extremely careful with them. His origin, if you don't know who it made, with that intention, nor what hands they played, don't pray with he blindly. Padre Pio taught that what appears pious, it may be in reality a tool of confusion, and that the enemy knows how to disguise itself as light. So before you take your black rosary and put it on your heart, ask yourself, is it at the service of the sky, or is it a shadow in your prayer? Red, the color of the passion, of the fire, of the sacrifice. In the Catholic liturgy, symbolizes the martyrdom, the Holy Spirit, and above all, the blood of Christ shed for the humanity. A powerful color, loaded with meaning, but also dangerous if used without discernment. Padre Pio never questioned the spiritual value of red. What he warned was something else, the manipulation of that symbol in contexts that distort its meaning. The red rosaries that came into their hands were not impregnated with the spirit of the gospel, but from another blood type, the one summoned in rituals where the violence replaces the devotion. In several occasions, faithful you presented red rosaries with enthusiasm. "It's for the blood of Christ," they said. But as soon as they touched them, Padre Pio shuddered. "This is not what you believe," he responded. In at least 2 recorded cases, he recommended burying the rosary after a deep blessing. Why? Because some objects are crafted not as instruments of prayer, but as tools of spiritual manipulation, and red, so visceral, so potent, has historically been used in ceremonies that seek power, dominance, and destruction. From the antiquity, occult cultures associate the red with the energy control vital through the sacrifice. Even today, certain esoteric groups manufacture rosaries with Catholic in appearance, but loaded with intentions contrary to the gospel. They use red beads with pagan symbols in the crucifixes or inlays that look like art, but are stamps, rituals, and occurs when does anyone pray with one of these objects? The prayer becomes confused, the mind agitated, and the feeling of peace evaporates. Padre Pio, he repeated, "It is not enough to the shape of the rosary. We must look into his soul." A genuine red rosary, consecrated and blessed, can be an immense weapon of light, but a contaminated one can act like a drop of poison in the cup of the faith. Before you cling to those scarlet beads, ask yourself, do they represent the blood of Christ or evoke another blood that cries out from the shadows? At first glance, they are the most striking. Glass beads, iridescent hues, delicately carved symbols, details that evoke art and spirituality, or so it seems. These rosaries have become popular in religious gift shops, spirituality fairs, and websites that mix faith with aesthetics. But behind so much color, there is a subtle trap. Padre Pio referred to them as confused rosaries, not because of their colors, but because of the intention behind his creation. Many of these objects are not made for the traditional Marian prayer. They are influenced by New Age movements, which combine Christianity, Buddhism, chakras, astrology, and energy crystals, all in a single instrument. The result is a visually appealing but spiritually incoherent object. Some they incorporate hidden symbols, eyes, triangles, suns, signs of the zodiac embedded in the accounts or in a crucifix. Others are facts with energetic stones that are charged under the moon full, techniques that have nothing to do with the faith Christian. There is even rosaries where the Hail Mary is said has been replaced by alternative phrases. The danger is not just theological, it is spiritual. These rosaries, they act like poorly tuned antennas. Instead of focusing the prayer, they disperse. They generate a kind of spiritual static, a confusion that interferes in the connection with God. Padre Pio warned that praying with such objects does not strengthen the soul, but rather slowly weakens it. Prayer becomes empty, the thoughts they wander, the heart grows cold. There is no fruit, no presence, only noise. A rosary, it must be simple, blessed, centered on Christ and on the Virgin, not in energies, not in foreign symbols, not in unnecessary ornaments. Because when you mix everything, and in the end, you are left with nothing. Before leaving you seduced by a rosary bright and modern, remember, faith doesn't need colors to be powerful, it just needs true. Everything seemed normal until it was not. A quiet house began to fill with inexplicable tensions. Discussions appeared for no reason. The sleep became heavy. The prayers were no longer flowing, and nobody I knew why. This is how it begins the story of many families who, without give account, they introduced in their homes a spiritually compromised object. Padre Pio used to say that evil rarely enters making a noise. It prefers silence, subtlety, and his favorite terrain is the home, the place where the faith is cultivated or extinguished. When a spiritually contaminated rosary enters the house, its effects are not immediate, but they are felt with heat time. Some of the plus signs common include persistent insomnia, especially after prayer, unexplained mood swings, sudden irritability or sadness without cause, heavy atmosphere, as if the air were charged, restless pets avoiding certain places or look fixedly into empty corners, children who cry at night, who say they see shadows or feel fear without reason, distraction when praying, lack of concentration, even rejection of the prayer. These symptoms, they may seem small, disconnected, but when they accumulate, they erode the spiritual harmony of the home and often the root is in a single object, poorly chosen, poorly consecrated, or simply brought from the wrong place. On more than one occasion, people who consulted priests ended up discovering that the origin of the discomfort was a rosary, an image, a crucifix bought without discernment. When withdrawing it, when blessing the house, peace returned. The enemy does not need doors open. A crack is enough, and objects of devotion, when not protected, can become that slit. Padre Pio did not do it. He said it not out of superstition, but out of deep spiritual experience. The cleaning of the soul begins with what we bring to our environment. If something has changed in your house without explanation, look at your around. Sometimes the enemy hides among the things that inspire you the most confidence. It is not enough that a rosary have a cross, neither with what is made of wood, glass, or metal. For Padre Pio, it essential was not the material, but the spirit that it impregnated. Throughout the years, the Capuchin saint was identifying certain patterns, signs that if they appear in a rosary, they must activate a spiritual alarm. Here are the 6 most important. 1. Origin unknown or doubtful. If you don't know who it made, from where comes from, or how came into your hands, there is reason to suspect. Many rosaries, malicious people infiltrate precisely through the via of the gift. 2. Negative feelings when praying. If when praying you feel restlessness, anxiety, constant distraction, or internal rejection, do not ignore it. The soul perceives what the mind does not yet understand. 3. The presence of strange symbols, stars, eyes, triangles, signs that do not belong to Christianity, even if they are hidden or appear decorative. 4. Materials unusual or heavy. Accounts that feel cold, dense, or that seem to absorb light. Padre Pio said that some materials enclose what should not be done, touch each other. 5. Intuition or discomfort. Unexplainable. That inner voice that tells you something is not right should never be ignored. Spiritual discernment also manifests itself through intuition. 6. Negative effect on your prayer life. If since you use that rosary you find it difficult to pray, have you? If you have stopped doing it or feel spiritually weaker, the problem may not be you, but the object. Padre Pio insisted, the soul feels what the body does not perceive. No, and sometimes the spiritual battle begins with the string that you carry between your fingers. You discover that your rosary may be compromised. You recognize in its symbols, in the sensations, in the effects it has caused. And now that do? Throwing it in the trash is not an option. Donating it, even less so. A spiritual object must be treated with dignity, even when no longer serves its proper purpose. Padre Pio was emphatic. Everything that has been used for the prayer, although has been corrupted, must be treated with reverence. Here have the recommended steps for your correct elimination. 1. Don't ignore it. If you suspect that the rosary is spiritually contaminated, don't keep it just in case. Postponing is opening more space for interference. 2. Take a rosary to a priest. Request a specific blessing to break any negative spiritual influence. Some priests are trained for this type of discernment. 3. If you cannot go to a priest, say a prayer of deliverance. Take the rosary in your hands, pray an Our Father, a Hail Mary and Psalm 91. Then, ask louder than anyone evil intention attached to that object be broken in the name of Jesus Christ. 4. Destroy it with respect. If the priest indicates it, or if you decide, the rosary can be burned in a safe place, accompanied by prayer. It can also be buried far away of the home, as a sign of spiritual closure. 5. Never give it away or sell it. What you shouldn't use, someone else neither should. Pass the problem for another is to perpetuate the chain of spiritual damage. A rosary. It must be a tool of light. And when ceases to be so, the best way to honor your purpose is to set it free with faith. After so many warnings, the question is inevitable. How choose a rosary that is truly safe, pure, and conducive to the prayer? Padre Pio was not a fanatic of fear, but a guardian of the discernment. For him, The key was in three fundamental pillars: the faith, the blessing, and the intention. Here we share with you how apply them. 1. Buy from trusted sources. Avoid generic markets, esoteric stores, or online sites where rosaries are sold as amulets or energy objects. He prefers traditional Catholic stores or places linked to religious communities. 2. Check the symbols. Look with attention to every detail. A deformed crucifix, a medal strange, or an account with non-Christian inscriptions can be warning signs. The sacred never needs costume. 3. Ask always a blessing. Even if the rosary comes from a source reliable, must be blessed by a priest. The blessing consecrates the object, spiritually aligns with divine light, and cuts any hidden ties. 4. Pray over it before using it. Your intention is to use it as a shield. Take it in your hands, present it to God, and ask Him to use it as an instrument of His peace. This strengthens your connection and protects your soul. 5. Listen to your heart. If something bothers you, if you feel that there is something wrong, resistance or tension when taking it, do not ignore it. The soul recognizes what the eyes do not see. A rosary is not a jewel, neither an ornament. It is a spiritual weapon that must be forged in true. And when you choose with faith, bless with authority, and pray with pure intention, that simple object becomes in a direct channel to heaven. After all that has been revealed, there is one truth you cannot forget. Power is not in the object, but in the faith. What do you use it with? Padre Pio I knew. That's why I didn't idolize rosaries, nor medals, nor stamps. The eye respected them, yes, but only as channels. Essential was the intention of the soul. A rosary, though this made of gold, if it is born from impure hands or is used without devotion, it's worthless. And a simple, humble one, made of thread and wood, if it's blessed and sustained with love, you can make hell tremble. The spiritual battle we are experiencing is not a tale old, it's real. And sometimes it's fought in it invisible, in a sentence that does not flow, in a home that goes out, in a faith that goes away unraveling without you noticing. Today you have received tools. You have acquaintanced the signs, the dangers, the warnings from a saint who saw what many did not want to see. Not so that you have fear, but so that you wake up, because in the end, the true rosary, it's you. Every bead you pray, every tear you offer, every time you choose to pray instead of giving up, you are weaving a chain of light that darkness can break. So now I ask you, what color is your rosary? And with that faith, do you hold? If this story touched you, comment below if you've ever felt something strange while praying. What do you think of these warnings from Padre Pio? Subscribe to stay up to date on upcoming revelations. Leave your like if you think this message can open the eyes on someone else.